YouTube Success Blueprint. To learn more about growing your YouTube channel and creating passive income as a YouTuber, register for my YouTube Success Blueprint by clicking the link in the description below this video. Hey, what's up guys? John here. We thought that we've seen it all. Everything that's happened over the last year, we've seen our freedoms get pulled away. We've seen the eviction moratorium. We never saw that before. We never thought it was possible. But here we are, 16 months in, and we still have another goalpost to hit. In June, they say that they're going to allow the evictions to proceed. I personally think it's going to get extended again. Now what I'm seeing happening in Germany is mind-blowing, and I honestly think that this is very possible to spread over to America. Places like New York and California first, then nationally. What they're doing right now is they're trying to push a referendum to seize thousands of privately owned apartments and put them in the hands of Big Brother for the greater good. Pure insanity. We're out here hustling and working really hard and really putting in sweat equity to build a business, to save money, to invest well. Thinking that after all, at the end, we'll own it and we can control it, we can sell it, we can pass it down to our family, we can do whatever we want with it because it's ours. But who knew this is possible? And this is the new normal that they're talking about. So with that being said, I'm going to go through this article verbatim because it's just unbelievable. You wouldn't believe it otherwise. Please smash that like button. When you hit the like button, you're telling YouTube to expose what Big Brother is trying to do nationally. So please hit that like button and let's begin. This is Business Insider today. Renters in Berlin have a radical plan to seize apartments from landlords and are set to force a referendum that could revolutionize the battle for fair rent. Renters in Berlin plan to force a referendum on nationalizing thousands of apartments in the city in order to lower rents. Under the plan, landlords would be forced to sell their properties to the city, which would then lower the rent. They are forced to sell. They have no other alternative. So they're going to get the highest price. Doesn't even matter. It's theirs. They should not have to be pushed in a corner to do anything with their property. Activists have more than half of the 240,000 signatures needed to force a referendum. Who knew that you could just form a referendum or a movement and say, hey, you have to do this now. Imagine you have a brand new car and I get everyone in the neighborhood to say, hey, you have to give me that car, and everyone signs it. I mean, I didn't even know that was possible. You could just come up with these things and just steal from other people. It is the latest front in the battle for fair rents after plans for a rent cap were overturned in the city. You know, why would nothing is fair in this world? Look at everything that's happened in the last year. All the people that have lost their jobs, their businesses, their families, all the families that have been broken up and divided due to the shutdowns, the closures that we're all forced to live under. Was that fair? No, nothing is fair. The only thing fair is Big Brother's move in their eyes, which is to level the playing field and fight inequality and inequity and racism. And the best way to do that is to bring 99% of the population to their knees so that everyone is at the same playing field and no one is below anyone else. Like many cities around the world, rents in the German capital of Berlin have soared in recent years, doubling in the last decade. Well, that's inflation. What do you think is going to happen with Biden and all these politicians printing and printing and printing our dollar? The cost of goods and services are going to go up. The cost to fix apartments, manage apartments, repair apartments, all of that is going to go up. Rents are going to have to follow. But unlike many other cities, the people of Berlin are actually doing something about it. First, residents persuaded the local authorities to bring in a rent cap that instructed landlords to freeze rents at 2019 levels. So everyone that bought a building in 2020 or 2021 based on higher rents is forced to take a loss. That is insanity. However, that was overturned by Germany's federal court in April, which ruled the measures unconstitutional. Now local campaigners are planning something even more radical, a bid to nationalize thousands of privately owned apartments in the city. Specifically, campaigners want the government to take apartments from real estate firms that own more than 3,000 apartments, place them into public ownership, and rent them out at affordable rates. If somebody owns a lot of buildings,
they didn't do anything wrong. That simply means those people have something to teach us. We need to be out there hustling. The moment we are dependent on somebody else for anything, that somebody owns us. So this whole inequality agenda that they're trying to sell by saying that they have to go after the big guy, next it's you. Next it's the person that owns a fourplex or a duplex. They're going to say, you have 2 apartments. They don't have any. You have to give them a place to live for free. The estimated market value of the real estate in question is $44 billion. City Monitor reported, but the group has suggested compensation of as little as $10 billion. So offered them 25 cents on the dollar. Great. Arguing that the prices are based on speculation and overpriced rental yields rather than the real value. The housing market in Berlin seems like paradise if you've lived in London or Paris. No, it sounds like a living hell. Jonas Becker, a 30-year-old academic who lived in Germany's capital, told Insider, any place that thinks that this is a good thing is nowhere I ever want to visit. I mean, these politicians need to be thrown out of the office. They need to really, these people are traitors. They're out there destroying freedom and capitalism. This is something that needs to stop because unfortunately it's spreading like a cancer globally right now. The housing market in Paris is absurd because you can't find any affordable housing, but that's an evolution we will see in Berlin as well. The rising rents don't correspond any more to wages, and that's something we want to address. Well, that just simply means that people need to live where they can afford to live, unfortunately. If you can't afford to live in a certain market, there's no affordable housing in Bel Air. Okay? So all that means is you got to think smarter, you got to work harder, and come up with better plans and strategies to get into these better communities. If that's something that you want to do, no one's entitled to anything. It's just insanity to me. Becker is a spokesman for a group of housing activists called Exportioniert durch Deutsche Wohnen & Co., referring to the city's biggest real estate group. The group says the compensation would be provided to landlords gradually using the rents rather than the costing of taxpayers. The idea is certainly very radical, but it's gathering plenty of support from Berliners. A petition started in February for a referendum on the plan has already collected 130,000 signatures, meaning there's a very real possibility that Berlin authorities will be forced to hold a referendum on the subject in September. In a city where around 85% of residents live in a rented accommodation and where more than 200,000 publicly owned apartments have been sold off since 1990 to private equity firms and hedge funds, the issue has taken on acute significance. It's an unfortunate situation when they have a voting system and it's more of the peers that are going to vote against you than you. There's more people that rent than own. So if they're voting on property rights, that's a bad situation to be in as a landlord. For my generation, it's nearly impossible to own a building or an apartment, something that has been very possible for our parents, said Becker. We will probably rent our whole lives. I mean, that's a small-minded way to see the world. If you think that you're not capable of something, then you're not capable of it. But if you think that you can do something, you'll find a way and you'll move heaven and hell to get it done. So this person, they just don't see themselves as being a person of enough value to the world to where they deserve to own property. He said that many Berlin residents, especially younger ones, were radicalized by the German federal court's decision to overturn the rent cap last year, which prompted thousands of people to march through the streets, banging pots and pans in protest. These people sound like little kids in a candy store. Many landlords are now charging their tenants more than they were before the rent cap in order to make up for lost income. When I was younger, 12 years old, I lived with my dad in a boarded up house with no heat, electricity, no running water. And trust me, I was not there crying, saying, I'm never going to own anything. I'm never going to do anything. No, that was clarity to me that I never want to be in a state of dependence and rely on anyone ever again. And that is where we all need to be. I think leaning on Big Brother, taking these stimulus, taking the handouts, taking money, begging for help, this is only going to turn into a real problem. And the faster we kill this mentality, the better off we all are. The group wants to collect 240,000 signatures by the end of June, which would be enough to force a referendum on the subject. There is also a strong chance that the referendum could pass, forcing lawmakers to consider the plan. A poll carried out in April indicated that 47% of Berlin residents supported the proposal, with 43% opposed and 9% undecided. However, even if the referendum is successful, it will be a struggle to actually get the plan to legislation. I highly doubt that. I don't really trust the system. I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. It seems almost like it's lopsided. Like maybe there is less integrity in the system than we would hope. So if they get it this far, I have a feeling it's probably just going to get done. Die Linke, the left-wing party with 69 seats of 709 in Germany's parliament, is the only one to have offered the proposal former support. Deutsche Welle reported, Germany's dominant conservative parties have been quick to condemn the proposals. Nonetheless, Becker said that even talk of the referendum has pushed radical solutions for Berlin's rental problems into mainstream dialogue. Many people now consider us a real opponent they have to deal with, not a left-wing radical who wants a revolution. That's not what we want to do, he said. Playing devil's advocate on both sides, I understand what they're saying about, rent being too high. But we could also say the same thing about health insurance. We could also say the same thing about getting a healthy meal. If you go to Whole Foods and you get a few days worth of groceries, it might cost you a couple $100. If you get a week's worth of groceries, you might leave with a $350 bill. But imagine going to the clerk and saying, hey, I don't have money, but I'm going to take the salmon, I'm going to take the filet, I'm going to take all the organic produce, and I'll come back in a year and pay you exactly what I should be paying you right now with 0% interest. That would never fly. And why wouldn't it fly? It's because people like Amazon, these big companies, Amazon, a lot of the oil and gas companies, all the companies that we basically sponsor on a day-to-day are supporting the destruction of your freedom. And so when they push these little agendas on Business Insider and all these articles selling that capitalism is bad and that we are entitled to free things, what they are really saying is give us all of your freedoms, depend on us, and we'll do what's right for you. But you take a look at what's happened in the last 16 months, and you will see that they've done everything but that. So don't buy into this narrative. It's against what's best for you. Please smash that like button. When you hit the like button, YouTube's going to share the content and educate more people as to what's really going on. So please hit the like button, and also consider subscribing to this channel. I have a secondary channel that I just launched a couple days ago. I'll pin it in the top comment. So I'll see you guys in the next video.
YouTube Success Blueprint. If you've enjoyed this video and want to dive deeper into growing your YouTube channel and create passive income as a YouTuber, check out my YouTube Success Blueprint by clicking the link in the description below this video. One of the richest men in the world, Warren Buffett, once said, opportunities come infrequently. When it rains gold, put out a bucket, not a thimble. I get the feeling that many men and women today are using thimbles instead of buckets. The truth is that we're in a huge wave of opportunity. I'm not suggesting that the current situation hasn't caused any financial damage to people's lives, because it certainly has. You may be one of those who have been fired, transferred, demoted, or had his assets repossessed. When looking up my own channel statistics on Social Blade, you can see that I was able to grow from a mere 11,000 subscribers to 120,000 subscribers in just 15 months. You could do this too, and I want to show you how. My YouTube Success Blueprint is a complete A to Z guide that teaches you the necessary steps in order to get your channel up and running within a few days. YouTube is an explosive avenue where you can earn thousands of dollars based simply on uploading videos and monetizing them for views. Think of a bridge with a toll on it. That is a video that's monetized on YouTube. It also serves a great channel to capture leads and potential new clients. Personally, I'm receiving roughly $30,000 per month in video views through Google AdSense just by people watching my videos on YouTube with 120,000 subscribers. This number is likely only going to grow as more and more people become accustomed to using YouTube. We have roughly 2.3 billion monthly users on YouTube, and I could see that number hit 3 billion in no time. To learn more about growing your YouTube channel and creating passive income as a YouTuber, register for my YouTube Success Blueprint by clicking the link in the description below this video.